Welcome, friends. Today, let's talk about procrastination and action. Why do we delay the very tasks that can change our lives? And how do we move when everything inside us says wait? If this is your battle, stay with me, because what you learn in the next half hour can shift the way you work, the way you create, and the way you respect yourself. Procrastination is not laziness. It is fear dressed in comfort. It is the gap between knowing what to do and doing it. And today, we close that gap. Let me tell you about a man named Daniel. He was a graphic designer, 31 years old, talented, educated, and stuck. Every Monday morning, he opened his laptop with a list of 3 projects. Every Monday night, he closed it with the same list, untouched. He told himself he would start after lunch, then after coffee, then after one video. One video became 10. 10 became an evening. Lost. He felt shame, but the shame did not push him forward. It pushed him deeper into delay. One Friday, his manager sent him a message. Daniel, the client is asking, where is the design? Daniel looked at the screen. He felt his chest tighten. He had 5 hours left. He opened the file. His hands were shaking. He worked fast, cutting corners, skipping ideas he knew were better. He sent the design. At 11 p.m., the client accepted it, but Daniel knew the truth. It was not his best. It was his panic. That night, he sat in his kitchen and asked himself one question. Why do I do this? He did not have an answer yet, but he had started to look. This is the first step. Procrastination is not a time problem. It is an emotion problem. When a task feels too big, too hard, or too unclear, your brain sees it as a threat. So it protects you. It offers you comfort. Scroll, watch, eat, clean. Anything but the task. This is not weakness. This is biology. Your brain is wired to avoid discomfort. It seeks pleasure and safety. When you face a blank page, an empty inbox, or a complex problem, your brain registers uncertainty. Uncertainty triggers stress. Stress triggers avoidance. Avoidance brings temporary relief. But that relief has a cost. The task remains. The deadline approaches. The guilt grows. And the cycle repeats. This cycle is not random. It follows a pattern. First comes the task. Then comes the discomfort. Then comes the escape. Then comes the relief. Then comes the guilt. Then comes more avoidance. Round and round. Each time you give in, the pattern gets stronger. Your brain learns that avoidance works. It reduces discomfort. So it repeats the behavior. This is called reinforcement. You are training yourself to procrastinate. But biology is not destiny. You can train your response. Let me show you how. The tool I will give you today is simple, but it works. I call it the 5-second start. Here is how it works. When you feel the pull to delay, count backward from 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then move. Do not think. Do not plan. Just move your body toward the task. Open the document. Pick up the pen. Stand up and walk to your desk. The count interrupts the loop. The movement breaks the freeze. This is not motivation. Motivation is a feeling, and feelings come and go. This is action, and action creates momentum. Momentum is what carries you through the middle, where motivation fades and doubt whispers. The 5-second start works because it disrupts your habit loop. It gives your brain a new cue. Instead of feeling discomfort and reaching for escape, you feel discomfort, count down, and reach for the task. At first, this feels unnatural. Your brain resists. It wants the old pattern. But if you repeat the new pattern enough times, it becomes automatic. This is how habits change, not through willpower alone, through repetition of a new response. Now let me tell you about a woman named Clara. She was a teacher, 28 years old, and she had a dream. She wanted to write a book. For 2 years, she carried a notebook. For 2 years, it stayed blank. Every evening, she told herself, "Tomorrow, I will start." Tomorrow never came. One night, her friend asked her, "Clara, what are you afraid of?" Clara paused. Then she said, "I am afraid it will not be good enough." Her friend smiled. "So write something bad first. Just write." The next morning, Clara sat down. She felt the familiar pull to check her phone, to make another coffee, to plan instead of write. But she remembered her friend's words. She counted. 5, 4, 3, 2. It was simple. It was rough. But it was real. The next day, she wrote 2 sentences. The next week, a paragraph. 3 months later, she had 30 pages. They were not perfect, but they were hers. She had learned something. Starting badly is better than not starting at all. This is the second truth. Perfection is the enemy of progress. When you wait for the perfect moment, the perfect mood, the perfect idea, you wait forever. The perfect moment is now, and now is messy. That is fine. Let it be messy. Let it be small. Just let it begin. Perfectionism is not high standards. High standards push you forward. Perfectionism holds you back. It tells you that unless the first draft is brilliant, the first attempt is flawless, the first step is certain, you should not start. This is a lie. Every great work started rough. Every skilled person was once clumsy. Every finished project was once a messy beginning. The difference is not talent. The difference is willingness to start before feeling ready. Think about a child learning to walk. The child does not wait until balance is perfect. The child stands, wobbles, falls, stands again. Each fall teaches. Each stand builds strength. If the child waited for perfect balance, the child would never walk. You are the same. You learn by doing. You improve by starting. Now, here is your plan. Today, choose one task you have been avoiding. It does not matter how long you have delayed it. Set a timer for 5 minutes. Count down, Dyer. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Start. Do not aim to finish. Aim to start. After 5 minutes, you can stop if you want. But most of the time, you will not want to stop. The hardest part is the beginning. Once you are in motion, motion feels natural. Resistance is highest at the start. Once you break through that first layer, the next layer is easier. Think of a frozen car engine. It takes more effort to start than to keep running. Your mind is the same. After 3 days, check in with yourself. Write down 3 triggers. What time of day do you procrastinate most? What task type makes you freeze? What emotion comes up when you delay? Is it fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of wasted effort? Awareness is power. You cannot change what you do not see. When you name the pattern, you can interrupt it. Maybe you procrastinate most in the afternoon when your energy drops. Maybe you freeze on creative tasks where there is no clear right answer. Maybe you delay when you feel overwhelmed by the size of the task. Each trigger is information. Each piece of information is a tool you can use. After 7 days, track one success. Find one moment where you used the 5-second start and followed through. Write it down. Celebrate it. This is not about being perfect every day. This is about being intentional. 1 time, then 2 times, then 10 or. Small wins build confidence. Confidence builds momentum. Momentum builds identity, and identity shapes behavior. When you see yourself as someone who starts, you start more often. When you see yourself as someone who follows through, you follow through more often. Identity is powerful. It drives action without conscious effort. Let me tell you about a student named Liam. He was 22, studying engineering and failing 2 classes, not because he was slow, because he could not start. Every assignment felt like a mountain. He would sit at his desk, stare at the page, and feel his mind go blank. Then he would open his phone. 4 hours later, nothing had changed except the guilt. The guilt made him feel worse. Feeling worse made starting even harder. He was trapped in a downward spiral. One afternoon, his roommate saw him scrolling and said, "Liam, what are you running from?" Liam looked up. He did not answer. But that question stayed with him. That night he tried something new. He broke the assignment into pieces. Not write the essay. Instead, write one sentence about the topic. Not solve the problem set. Instead, read the first question and underline the key words. He set a timer. 5 minutes. He counted down. He started. 5 minutes turned into 15. 15 turned into 40. 2 weeks later, he submitted both assignments. He passed both classes. He learned that the task was never the problem. The story he told about the task was the problem. This is the third truth. The way you frame the task shapes your ability to do it. When you say, "I have to write a report," your brain hears pressure and obligation. When you say, "I will spend 10 minutes drafting ideas," your brain hears possibility and choice. Language matters. Words create frames. Frames create feelings. Feelings drive behavior. Reframe the task. Make it smaller, lighter, clearer. Instead of "clean the house," say "wipe the kitchen counter." Instead of "finish the project," say "outline the first section." Instead of "get in shape," say "walk for 10 minutes." The smaller the step, the lower the resistance. The lower the resistance, the higher the chance you will start. And once you start, you often continue. This principle has a name. It is called the Zeigarnik effect. Once you begin a task, your mind wants to finish it. Unfinished tasks create mental tension. Your brain seeks closure. So starting is not just the first step. It is the step that pulls you forward. I recrain. Now let me show you something deeper. Procrastination has a function. It protects you from something. Maybe from failure. Maybe from judgment. Maybe from the truth that if you try and it does not work, the dream dies. So you keep the dream alive by never testing it. This is the terrible comfort of delay. You stay safe, but you stay stuck. The question is not, how do I stop procrastinating? The question is, what am I protecting by not starting? Sit with that question. Do not rush the answer. When you find it, you find the root. And when you find the root, you can pull it. Sometimes the root is fear of failure. You believe that if you fail, you are a failure. But this is false. Failure is an event, not an identity. You fail at something. You are not a failure. Thomas Edison tried 1,000 materials before finding one that worked for the light bulb. He did not fail 1,000 times. He found 1,000 ways that did not work. Each attempt brought him closer. Sometimes the root is fear of success. This sounds strange, but it is real. Success brings change. Change brings new expectations. Some people fear that more than they fear staying where they are. If you succeed, people will expect more. If you fail after success, the fall feels higher. So you protect yourself by never climbing. Sometimes the root is lack of meaning. You delay because the task does not connect to what you value. It is someone else's goal, someone else's standard, someone else's dream. And deep down, you know it. In that case, procrastination is not the enemy. It is the messenger. It tells you to realign. It tells you to ask, is this what I want or what I think I should want? Here is a short conversation I want you to imagine. You and your future self, 1 year from now. Your future self says, thank you. You started when it was hard. You kept going when it was messy. Because of you, I am here. I finished the project. I built the habit. I kept my word to myself. Now imagine the other version. Your future self says you had time, you had tools, but you waited. And now we are still in the same place, wishing we had started. Which conversation do you want to have? The choice is yours, but the choice is now. Every day you delay is a day your future self will not have. Time does not wait. Opportunity does not pause. The version of you that you want to become is built by the actions you take today, not tomorrow. Today, let me give you 3 daily anchors. These are not rules, they are rhythms. First, start your day with one clear action. Not a list, one action. Do it before you check your phone, before you open email, before the world tells you what to need. This trains your brain that you are in charge of your time. It builds agency. Agency is the belief that your actions matter, that you can influence your life. When you start the day with intentional action, you set the tone. You declare, I am not passive. I am active. I choose. This matters more than you think. Research shows that the first hour of your day shapes the rest. If you start reactive, you stay reactive. If you start intentional, you stay intentional. Second, use the 2-minute rule. If a task takes less than 2 minutes, do it now. Do not add it to a list. Do not save it for later. Clear it. Clear it. Reply to the message. File the paper. Wash the dish. This keeps small tasks from piling into a wall of resistance. A wall you cannot see over. A wall that makes you freeze. When you handle small things quickly, you keep your mental space clear. Clear space invites focus. Focus invites flow. Flow is the state where work feels effortless. You lose track of time. You produce your best work. But flow requires clean entry. You cannot enter flow if your mind is cluttered with small undone tasks. Third, end your day with one reflection. Ask yourself, did I move toward what matters today, or did I move away? Do not judge the answer. Just notice. Awareness. If you move toward, acknowledge it. Feel the pride. Let it sink in. If you moved away, ask why. What pulled you off course? What can you adjust tomorrow? This is not guilt. This is feedback. Feedback is how you grow. Athletes watch recordings of their performance. They see what worked and what did not. Then they adjust. You do the same. You review your day. You see the patterns. You adjust your approach. Now, let me tell you the last story. There was a man named Samuel. He was 43 years old, a manager in a manufacturing company, and he had been talking about starting his own business for 12 years. 12 years of soon. 12 years of when things settle down. One day, his daughter asked him, Dad, what are you waiting for? He said, I am waiting for the right time. She said, Dad, you have been saying that since I was in first grade. I am in high school now. When is the right time? Samuel sat quiet. That night, he wrote down one sentence. The right time is the time I choose to start. The next morning, he registered a business name. He did not have a plan. He did not have funding, but he had a name, and a name made it real. Names matter. They make abstract ideas concrete. They give you something to hold. 6 months later, he had his first client. 2 years later, he left his job. 4 years later, he hired 3 people. He told me later, I did not need a perfect plan. I needed to prove to myself that I could take one step without knowing the next 10. This is the truth. that changes everything. You do not need certainty to start. You need courage to move without it. Certainty is a luxury. It rarely comes before action. It comes during action. You learn by doing. You clarify by moving. You gain confidence by proving to yourself that you can handle what comes. Let me be clear about something. You will still feel fear. You will still feel doubt. The 5-second start does not erase those feelings. It teaches you to act in spite of them. This is maturity. This is strength. Not the absence of fear, but the choice to move through it. Fear says, stop. You might fail. Courage says, move. You might succeed. And even if you fail, you learn. Learning is progress. Progress is growth. Growth is worth the risk. Every person you admire has failed. Every successful project has stumbled. The difference is not that they avoided failure. The difference is that they did not let failure stop them. They failed forward. Some people think discipline is about force. It is not. Discipline is about alignment. When your actions match your values, discipline feels natural. When they do not, every step is a fight. So before you fight procrastination, ask yourself, does this task matter to me, or to someone else's idea of who I should be? If it matters to you, the fight gets easier. If it does not, maybe the task is not the problem. Maybe the goal is. Maybe you are chasing a path that does not fit who you are. In that case, the solution is not to push harder. Either, the solution is to pause and reconsider. Is this what I want, or what I think I should want? Is this my dream, or someone else's expectation? There is no shame in changing direction. There is only waste in walking a road that leads nowhere you care about. Life is too short to spend on goals that do not serve your values. Now, let me give you one question for self-check. When you are about to delay, stop and ask, am I avoiding this task because it is hard, or because it does not serve the life I want? If it is hard, use the 5-second start and push through. Hard is temporary. Hard builds you. If it does not serve you, let it go without guilt. Not every task deserves your time, but the ones that do deserve your full presence, your full energy, your full commitment. This distinction is critical. Many people push through tasks that drain them and wonder why they feel empty. Others avoid tasks that stretch them and wonder why they do not grow. The key is knowing which is which. Here's what happens when you break the cycle. You stop living in the gap between intention and action. You stop carrying the weight of undone things. You build trust with yourself. And that trust becomes the foundation for everything else. Confidence, peace, progress. They all start with kept promises. Small promises, kept daily. This is how you change. Not through one big heroic effort. Through small consistent actions. Through showing up when you do not feel like it. Through starting when the task feels heavy. Through continuing when the result is not yet visible. Let me tell you what you are now. You are someone who understands that procrastination is not a character flaw. It is a signal that something needs attention. Maybe the task is unclear. Maybe the emotion is unprocessed. Maybe the goal is misaligned. You listen to the signal. You adjust. You move. You are someone who knows that starting is harder than continuing. So you honor the start. You count down. You move. You do not wait for motivation. You create momentum. You understand that motivation follows action, not the other way around. You do not wait to feel ready. You act, and readiness follows. You are someone who has a plan. 1 task today, 3 triggers in 3 days, 1 success in 7 days. You track your progress, not to judge yourself, but to see yourself clearly. You notice patterns, you interrupt them, you build new ones, and you are someone who knows that the right time is now. Not perfect now, not easy now, just now. You have the tool, you have the plan, you have the truth. What you do with them is up to you. The power is in your hands. The choice is yours. The moment is here. If today's message made sense to you, subscribe and come back tomorrow. We will build this, step by step, until action becomes your natural response, and delay becomes the exception, not the rule. Stay, learn, and carry your momentum forward.